How bad is welfare in the United States? Just how much are we spending to help people less fortunate than ourselves? Hello, I'm Chris Chantrell, and this is usgovernmentspending.com. Back in the 2000s, welfare was just cresting up to $700 billion a year when the crash of 2008 and the Great Recession hit. 3 years later, in 2010, welfare spending at all levels of government hit $1.1 trillion, almost 60% higher. In the chart you can see I have broken welfare into two. The blue band is Medicaid and related health care programs for the poor. The red band I call other welfare. Everything from TANF, that's temporary assistance to needy families, food stamps, that's EBT at your local supermarket, SSI, EITC, housing assistance, and unemployment benefit. But the best way to look at welfare is as a percent of GDP. How much of the nation's economy is going to pay for welfare? As you can see, other welfare exploded in the Great Recession from 2.3% of GDP in 2007 to 4.5% of GDP in 2010. But by 2015, it was back to 2.5% of GDP, and it is expected to go lower. That's the good news. The bad news is that Medicaid and all the other healthcare programs for the poor keep going up. From 2.3% of GDP in 2007 to an estimated 3.3% of GDP in 2017. If we look back over the last half century, we can see that the big story on welfare is the rise of Medicaid. Back in 1965, it was 0.2% of GDP. It hit 1% of GDP by 1990, 2% of GDP in 2002, and 3% of GDP in 2015. The rest of welfare has fluctuated with the economy. Other welfare went from 1.8% of GDP in 1965 to a peak of 4.4% of GDP in 1976, right after the recession of 1974 to 75. Welfare peaked after the recessions of 1980 to 81, 1990 to 91, 2001, and the Great Recession of 2006 to 2008. But now it is back down. So the real story on welfare is not the guy in front of you in the supermarket line buying a soft drink with his EBT. It is the huge expense of healthcare for the poor. Here are the pages we just looked at. You can get them from usgovernmentspending.com/VID04. I'm Chris Chantrell, and that is all.